somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody did sign up. So. All right, guys, thank you for coming. Sorry for the delay. We're going to start lying down and get a good couple minutes of meditation. So place a bolster under your knees if you need. Put a blanket under your head, whatever's going to make this comfortable for a few minutes to breathe and transition to our practice time. Make yourself nice and comfortable. Notice how you're feeling. Notice what thoughts are bubbling up. Maybe notice your self-talk. Trying to reduce or eliminate any negative self-talk that we might have. Taking things to the processing center of the brain instead of letting them just sit and worry, thinking about them, talking about them. These things may help. Notice the cadence of the breath. Ask yourself if you have completed that transition of moving from the outside world to the world of training, health, and time for ourselves. Some part of you is still out there thinking about other things. Try to redirect and draw your thoughts to the here and now. Just by focusing on the breath is one easy way to do this. About 5 more deep breaths right here. Draw the breath down to the lower belly. When we finish with our 5 breaths, if we'd like to try, we will do bee's breath. So it's just a hum as we exhale. So I'm going to inhale here. Just a gentle healing vibration. Feel that breath vibrate all the way through your connection to the mat. Maybe one more. Start to move around a little bit. Stretch things out. Take any movement that feels good to us. And we're slowly going to move to a seat. You can move your bolster out of the way. We may want to keep it handy in case we want it for this next pose. We're going to start with square pose. So the first thing to do with square pose is from our cross-legged. We're just going to draw one foot out a little bit so our shin is parallel with the top of the mat. And then we're going to take the other foot and put it on top. And for some of you, your foot may be able to come on top of your knee, like Dave has there. Yeah, I can't quite get there and have any meaningful because my hip here. So if you can stack and then have your knee down, that's great. If you can't, then any modifications may be necessary. So for me, I would be putting a block here and having some support for my leg. So make any adjustments you need. Another thing that you can do is sit on a bolster or a cushion to bring the seat up a little higher, and that might reduce some of the pressure on the leg. So this may take a minute to get into. Looks like most of you are set.
Are we going to do it again with the other leg on top?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I got to do both sides. It's a really good external rotation of the hip. As always, get settled. Notice where we may have some uncomfortability, where we need to make adjustments, and then try to stay still. The hands can come to the knees or just in the lap, up to you. Sit nice and tall, create that opposition from the seat to the crown of the head, and then just let things settle a little bit. Shoulders relax. We are looking for good posture here, but this is yin. Think about releasing as much as we can. We're going to spend a couple minutes here. Breathe and make sure we're at that soft edge, mild to medium sensation. I want to read a little bit about the internal alchemy. Sounds interesting. Of Taoism. So that's basically what we're doing when we do our yoga practice or when we do Tai Chi or any of those things. The Indian yogis were seeking spiritual immortality, liberation from samsara, the endless cycles of death and rebirth. The Taoist yogis, if we can mix our terms and call them that, who practiced alchemical Taoism, were seeking physical immortality. They wanted to live forever in this body. The form of alchemy we're talking about is not the transformation of base materials to gold, but a normal body to a perfect body. Changing lead to gold is a metaphor for the real goal. There was a period when external alchemy was tried, which involved a lot of poisonous substances such as mercury. But after hundreds of years of poisoning seekers to death, this form of alchemy was dropped in favor of an internal method, change from within. To become physically immortal, one needed to become really healthy, and that required a lot of dedication and hard work. It could be done, or at least it was believed that a few amazing individuals had achieved immortality, but these Taoist worlds were not easy to find, and we can assume that they were mythological beings. Certainly, many believe that the real immortality alchemical Taoists seek is spiritual immortality after this mortal coil has been shuffled off. In either case, spiritual immortality or physical immortality, the practice of the internal alchemical Taoists is every bit as challenging as the Indian yogis' practices. The first priority of an internal alchemist is to conserve his or her energies. When we're born, we're given a certain amount of the three main kinds of energy. Generative energy, called Jing, which feeds our sexual desires, vital energy, commonly known Qi energy, and spiritual energy, called Shen. While these energies are filling us as we grow in our mother's womb, the mind and the body are already starting to separate. When we're born, due to our ignorance, we begin to dissipate our main energies. We lose our generative energy anytime we even think about sex. Our main energies, our Qi leaks out through our emotions, and our Shen is lost when our thoughts flow. These leakages weaken us, cause illnesses, and lead ultimately to our death. Through alchemical practice, through internal transformation, our original stores of energy can be rebuilt, and we can regain health and longevity. All right, let's start to switch our pose. So we're going to take a top leg off slowly, maybe move it side to side a little bit, and then we'll go to the other side. Take your time getting into the pose. Again, as always with our asymmetrical poses, we're looking at similar sensation on both sides. So it may look a little different. This hip for me is a lot looser than the other one. So I could actually use a lower setting on the block and still have the same sensation. So pick what you'd like to do. Alchemical Taoism focuses on the stimulation and balancing of energy in both its yin and yang aspects. The yin energy is the dragon, the yang energy is the tiger. To unify yin and yang, we must remove all blockages throughout the body so that these energies can unite in three cauldrons called the Tantians. The process of stimulating these energies involves our breath. Fast breathing will direct yang fire to the middle and upper cauldrons, while slower and softer breathing stimulate yin energy to incubate our internal energies. Transformation also involves physical and mental exercises to change our skeletal structure and our mental formations. Before working on the mental changes, we must master the physical changes. Tools here include a host of exercises designed to hone the body, tendon changing practices, massage, martial arts, and the more widely known Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong practices. Once this basic training is successful, the alchemist moves on to transforming his internal energy. Refining and transforming generative energy, which is stored in the kidneys, into vital energy involves physical work in the abdomen area, as well as mental practices to minimize sexual desires. Care now must be taken not to dissipate our vital energy through negative emotions such as anger, fear, frustration, or sadness. Now the alchemical is ready for the final stage, transforming vital energy into spiritual energy. This requires meditation. The mind must become empty of thoughts, and all signs of duality must be extinguished. Now there's no division between subject and object, thinker and thought. I know that's a lot of stuff. So we can take from that the ideas of things that we need to work in our practices and our poses. That we are working our internal energies, we're trying to replenish our internal energies, and we're always seeking that balance. We've got about another 30 seconds here. Continue to relax. And slowly start to release that leg. We can take our hands behind and come to a little like sunbather pose and move the legs back and forth if we like. Just let things stretch out. Take any movements you like. Notice the sensations that are coming up from staying in those poses for a while. If we're feeling tightness, if we're feeling tingling, we shouldn't really feel tingling, but we may feel a rush of energy. We are going to come next to a dragon pose. So a few options here. In our dragon poses, we're going to come slowly to hands and knees. And then we're going to take our left leg forward. And we always have the option of patting that back knee if we need to, because we're going to be here for a couple of minutes on each side. So that may be helpful. We are going to take a twisted version today. So we're going to plant through that front foot, make sure it's nice and flat. We can release that back foot down. And then we can come down slowly, bring the right hand so it's right under the shoulder, and then start to straighten the left arm a little bit, pressing onto the knee, the top of the leg, not on the knee itself. Right. So you may be looking over that left shoulder a little bit to bring that twist in through the mid-back. So try to find a position that's going to be comfortable for a couple minutes. Hip flexor. It is going to be hip flexor, yep, but it's also that gentle twist. Yeah. Yep. So hip flexor, just like every dragon pose. Make it comfortable for yourselves. You need to make any adjustments. Are you feeling that hyperextend a little bit too much? Are you feeling it hyperextend a little too much into the hip? Yeah, just back off a little bit if you're feeling like you're going too far. What's that? Yeah, the advice that I've been given about people with a lot of mobility is to just, be really careful and make sure that you're not going too deep. So you're looking more for the that mild sensation rather than moderate sensation.
Mild, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So not real strong sensation through the top of the hip here. At least for you, I would say. A little strength used in this pose. Just to hold ourselves up. We're trying to relax everywhere else. Always an option to soften the gaze or close the eyes. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere. Is there anything that is preventing you from getting a little deeper into the pose, relaxing more? Let's start to release. So we're going to take that left hand and place it back down on the mat. Rotate the shoulder down a little. And then we'll take our left leg back slowly. Maybe just move side to side. Start to get some feeling into those hips, take some movement. And then maybe take the hands a little bit further forward and shift forward like a cat pose or a plank. Kneeling plank. Sorry, not cat pose, cobra pose. Although cat may work for you here too. Just a little stretch. Then we're going to go right to the right side. As soon as we're ready, we don't need to counter too long for this one because the other side is its own counter, this pose. So right leg forward this time. That back knee is nice and comfortable on the mat. Take the right hand to the top of the leg and twist as much as you need. So you can modify how much we're twisting by how much we're straightening that right arm. Good. Another 30 seconds. Let's slowly move that right leg back, come to our tabletop, take any little movements we need here. Before we move on, When we're feeling good and ready, let's come to a seat. And we're going to take our bolster and just place it right behind us. We may not need it for this pose, but it is there in case we need it. So I want to give you a few options because this pose is pretty intense if you have some tightness into your leg. So this, we're going to do half saddle pose. So we're going to take one leg and we're going to fold it back. And then bring that heel fairly close to our seat. And then try to sit up and see how that feels. If that's not going to work for us, we do have some other options. So we could simply sit back like this on our heels, or very similar benefits. We can come to, if none of those are going to really work for us, similar benefit is to come to Sphinx pose. So you're here. So we're opening up the front body, again, through the hips. So I want to offer those couple. So if this version works for you, half saddle pose, and you want to try to go a little deeper, we can simply lie back very slowly onto the bolster. And as long as that leg is not, as long as that knee is not hanging out in space, but it's, I mean, it's actually okay if it's hanging out a little bit, but if it is causing any pain, we don't want to do that. So we can stay seated, we can lie back. We'll try to find stillness here wherever we're at. We're in our half saddle and we're lying back, really working on releasing through that hip flexor at the top of the leg. That area may be quite tight. Notice if you're feeling tingling or numbness, that would indicate that you want to come out a little bit. You can edge that foot out to the side some, as long as it's not hurting the knee. That may take some pressure off. You may need something underneath your knee to help support it a little bit if it's hanging up too high. Good. Looks like everybody's found their spot. Settle into your breath now that we've kind of made friends with the pose. And perhaps the pose that we're in is not very comfortable. Our body is giving us signals that we're not comfortable. If we are getting signals of pain, that's a different thing. But we're just feeling that sense of anxiety, feeling like we have a little bit of uncomfortability, just relaxing into that and seeing where we can find ourselves. Kind of digging deep and saying, is this pain or is this just stress on the joint, healthy stress? Working our way back from that anxiety response and coming to a calming response is really at the core of yin yoga. Let's slowly start to release that leg. So be gentle, bring it straight. It takes a couple little movements here. This is, as with the other, is its own counter pose. So we don't have to spend a long time here. But just take some time. And if you're in a different pose, whatever you need to do to relax and then we'll settle in directly to the other side. So sitting up first, working that leg back, bring the heel toward our seat a little bit. So we're not sitting on top of the heel, it's just to the side. And then staying here or lying down or finding another version. If lying down is just a little bit too far, it is for me on this side, what you can do is take a block and put it right under your bolster. So that might help you out. Make a little ramp. So you don't have to lie down as far. So on this side, my hip flexor is a little tighter than the other for whatever reason. So then this gives me a little bit more space. I'm sitting a bit. Nice and relax with this side. And as if we're having too much sensation and we need to back off a little bit. Make any of those adjustments we mentioned. All right, guys, our next pose is going to be broken wing, which is a lying down on our stomach pose to start with. Let's slowly make our way there. And then before we, so we take the right arm out to the side and make kind of like a goalpost that's going to be bent. And then we're going to slowly take our knees to the left. So we've got our right arm out and our knees go over to one side. So we've got that twist that goes through. I'm not sure if you guys can see me very well. So my arms up to the side, elbow, taking my knees to the left, working them over to that side. And then my head lies down. I can have a blanket or a bolster under my head if that is necessary. Bolster's a little big, but it's not bad. So a blanket might do. The idea here is to let that right shoulder come back and open into the chest. We're opening through the pectoral area there. As before, we can straighten that left arm a little bit to put a little bit more pressure. Just be very gentle. Really let that arm relax. If we hunch a lot during the day, we may also feel this right underneath the shoulder blade, into the scapula. I'm sorry? Left arm can be just down on the ground, or the left hand can be pressing down to help open a little bit, make a little bit more pressure on that other arm, or just lay it down. It's fine. As we exhale, really starting to release into that shoulder. Where are we holding tension? What can we release? If we're fighting against this stretch, then it's going to be a lot less effective. We want the muscle to be very passive in this process so we can get a little deeper into the fascia and the joints, ligaments, tendons. Slowly. Be gentle on that shoulder as we lift, bringing the knees back underneath us. Take a moment to move as much as we need, and then we'll go right to the other side. Take your time. Starting with the left arm out this time, and then moving the knees over to the right. So we're on that left hip, and then just releasing into that shoulder. I make this as comfortable as we can. Do you want a blanket for under your head, Dave? Okay. I can grab it for you. Nice. Out of this pose as much time as we need. Maybe come to Sphinx and take a couple of side-to-side movements. We are going to stay on our belly though, because we're going to go right to cat point tail here. We may want to have our strap handy. You like all the pose names, don't you, Chris? I'm not sure, because that's a yin pose. I haven't learned that Sanskrit for that.
What muscles work specifically?
Everything, literally everything.
I consider that one very good, so I think I'll just SOS.
Sure, yeah, you can do that for sure. All right, from here, we're going to turn onto our side like we were before, and we're going to bring one leg forward. So the top leg is going to come forward, and then the bottom leg is going to go back. And then we can work our way down, and we can again have a bolster or a blanket under our head to lie down on. But once we've got that leg in the front, we can bend the knee and bring the strap underneath it to help pull a little higher. And we're going to hold on. So I'm lying down on my right side. My left leg is extended. And I'm just grabbing onto the strap with my right hand. So it's opposite hand, holding on. And if you want to go a little deeper than this is fine, just to be here. If you want to go a little deeper and open more, so we can open more into the chest and into that opposite hip flexor, I'm going to bend my knee and hold on to that other foot, so it's the right foot. And then opening that left shoulder to the back a little bit. So this is working a lot of different places. So it is working the back of my left leg all the way down into my glute. It is working on my right hip flexor. It is working on opening my shoulder as well. And you can, if it's comfortable, can look back toward that back leg a little bit, if that's comfortable. Otherwise, keep your neck neutral. Yeah, that doesn't look comfortable, Dave. Really? Okay. Well, yeah, again, this class is for you. So if it looks weird but it feels comfortable to you, that's fine. Yeah, this is a trickier one to get into. It takes some time, but most people will get it after a couple minutes. So let me know if you're not feeling it somewhere and need some help. So we're remembering that we're not trying to come to a specific shape in yin. We're just trying to create the sensations in our body as prescribed by the pose. And it can be different than I'm prescribing as well. So this really is for you to customize and feel what you need to feel. So if you have really tight hip flexors, you may want to work a little more into those areas. If you're feeling some sensitivity in those areas, you may want to avoid it. So it's up to you what you need to work on or what pain or injuries you may have. So make this practice really your own. My main function here is to guide you, make sure that everybody is getting into poses safely, and then, of course, help with any props or anything like that. Otherwise, follow what your body is telling you to do. Follow your breath. Let's release that back leg first. Straighten that leg out a little bit and then take the strap from underneath that other foot and start to release a little bit, taking little movements here. But then we're going to go right to the other side. So I'm going to turn over, turning to my belly first, and turning on my left side this time. Extending my right leg out, using that strap underneath my foot. Taking the strap to my left hand, bending the left leg, grabbing it with my right hand, either on the toes or the top of the foot. So these are binds, but we're being very gentle. We're not trying to yank or pull. It's not what we are doing in yin. We're just holding a little tension so we can get a little bit of that stretch and let it work deep into the body. And then once we're comfortable in the pose, just working the breath. Always returning back to the breath. Let's release that strap and releasing that back leg, slowly moving to lie on our back, removing props. We are going to go to Shavasana here. It is a little after 8 o'clock already because of our technical difficulties we're going a little over. So if anyone needs to head out, I don't blame you. But otherwise, what's that? Yeah, I know, exactly. For sure. So any options you want to take here, I'm going to do a modified fish pose or supported fish pose, and then have my legs out in butterfly. We affectionately call that butterfish. Yeah. So that allows a gentle chest opening and then also opening through the hips. I'm just lying down on my bolster to accomplish that, but any version that is going to make you nice and comfortable.
Glad you guys understand how important Shavasana is, certainly for locking in our practice, considering all the things we did over the past hour. Becomes part of our mindfulness journey to reflect. Reflecting on what our body needed today, what it may still need, what you might want to do after you get home or later this week. Things that you may have noticed during practice that you had not noticed during the day. We're too busy and feeling rushed and not taking care of ourselves. Taking that time to slow down, think, reflect, can solve a lot of problems, can make things that seem very murky become clear, gives us a perspective on our problems. It allows us to refresh and renew. We require that rest cycle. The yin side instead of the yang side. The yang being the daytime or putting in all the work, and the yin being resting, relaxing, regenerating portion of the day or evening. Work on relaxing more, muscle after muscle, joint after joint. The areas that still feel tension, hips maybe, jaw, forehead. Start to move a little bit. Maybe take the arms up overhead, whatever you're feeling today. Then we'll draw the knees into the chest and turn to the side. Releasing a deep breath here.
And then slowly coming up to seated when you're ready. I invite you to take a mudra. This is called Vayu mudra. All we do is we take our thumb and we pinch our index finger down a little bit. Our other fingers are extended. We can have hands out to the side. Vayu means wind or breath, energy. Take a couple more breaths here. And then we'll vibrate and chant the sound of Om. Follow along if you wish. Let's release the breath that we have. Inhale and say Om. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next time in 2 weeks. We will have a different schedule for the 4th of July week because, of course, the holiday is on a Monday. So we're going to be shifting this class to Tuesday. So this will be the 5th instead of the 4th. I didn't want to skip too long and not have class.
Same time, 7 o'clock?
It'll be, yeah, 7 o'clock on the 5th. I hope to see you there. Namaste.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, friends online. We'll see you soon.